Are you ready for a reality check? Imagine this. A national emergency hits. Store shelves are empty, chaos is everywhere. And just when you think you're prepared, the government steps in. But here's the twist. Not to help you, but to take. That's right, during a major crisis, there are certain canned foods that the government is most likely to seize first. These aren't just random items. This is based on existing laws, federal emergency powers, and actual events from history. If you're counting on these foods being around when things get bad, you might already be running out of time. What's on this critical list? And why are these particular items targeted? Stick around, because in today's video, we're revealing the 10 canned foods the government is likely to prioritize during a crisis. If you think your pantry is untouchable, you might want to think again. Preparation could mean the difference between survival and struggle. Don't gamble with this information. Take notes and act now. 10. Canned tuna and sardines. When it comes to emergency food, most think of pasta, beans, or rice. But seasoned preppers know better. Canned tuna and sardines are survival nutrition powerhouses and might be the first thing governments seize during disasters. Why? These small cans are packed with protein, omega-3s, vitamin D, and selenium. A 3-ounce can of tuna provides about 200 calories, while sardines offer even more energy. That's why they're already staples in military and emergency rations. Agencies like Homeland Security monitor the national supply of canned fish, because, in a crisis, they're essential for survival and large-scale relief efforts. Canned tuna and sardines last for years, stacked neatly and are ready to eat. No water, no cooking, no hassle. In disasters like hurricanes or wildfires, these qualities make them ideal for federal distribution. Under laws like the Stafford Act, supplies can be redirected, leaving grocery shelves empty. Even small disruptions like regional flooding can trigger shortages in unexpected areas. And if a product matches government supply specs, it's more likely to be pulled into emergency stockpiles. Smart preppers diversify. Imported or lesser-known brands might fly under the radar, giving you an edge. Store supplies in multiple locations, such as off-site caches, to avoid losing everything during a seizure. Tuna and sardines are nutritional gold. Their long shelf life and portability make them valuable for individuals and governments. Build your stash now to avoid empty shelves and federal takeovers during a crisis. 9. Canned tomatoes and tomato paste. Canned tomatoes and tomato paste might not always get the spotlight in survival food discussions, but they're essential staples during a crisis. Why? They're not just backup ingredients. They're vital for nutrition and keeping large-scale operations running smoothly. Packed with vitamin C, vitamin A, potassium, and lycopene, canned tomatoes help support a strong immune system, which can be crucial when clean water, good nutrition, and medical care are scarce. Beyond their health benefits, they're versatile game changers for meals. A tablespoon of tomato paste can turn dried beans into chili, rice into a hearty dish, or canned vegetables into flavorful soup. The government recognizes their importance, which is why agencies like the USDA stockpile them for schools, military bases, and FEMA relief operations. These ingredients are essential for feeding large groups during emergencies. But that also means if a disaster strikes, inventories could disappear quickly as supplies are diverted to federal programs. This year's early season floods in California's Central Valley, which processes most of America's tomatoes, caused major crop losses and pushed processed tomato prices up by nearly 40%. With shortages, fewer cans are hitting shelves, leading to increased competition between governments, institutions, and consumers. In a crisis, these cans could vanish overnight. For preppers, canned tomatoes and paste are a must-have. They don't last as long as low-acid canned goods. Typically safe for 24 months, they need to be stored in a cool, dry place to avoid spoilage. Preppers are also turning to alternatives like tomato powder or dehydrated flakes, which are shelf-stable, long-lasting, and easier to store. These options offer the same versatility for soups, sauces, and even electrolyte drinks, making them a smart addition to any stockpile. Diversifying your stockpile is key. Along with diced tomatoes, consider stewed, crushed, or imported brands. Smaller cans can also help avoid waste in emergencies without refrigeration. Without canned tomatoes or paste, even a stocked pantry can feel limited. These staples are crucial for variety, nutrition, and morale during tough times. Stock up now before supply chains tighten. Don't wait until it's too late. 8. Canned vegetables. Canned vegetables are often overlooked in survival prepping, but they're essential for staying healthy during a crisis. While canned meats and high-calorie foods might take priority, vegetables provide vital vitamins, minerals, and fiber that staples like rice and beans can't. Without them, you risk deficiencies like scurvy, anemia, or digestive issues when fresh produce is unavailable. Canned vegetables like corn, carrots, peas, and green beans are more than food. They're crucial for long-term survival. The USDA recognizes this, stockpiling massive amounts for disaster relief under programs like TFAP, the Emergency Food Assistance Program. These aren't just nice-to-have items, they're critical resources. Canned vegetables also have impressive shelf lives. Low-acid options like green beans and corn can last years when stored properly. Even after 5 years, as long as the can is intact, they're usually safe to eat. They're ready to use without refrigeration, prep, or excessive water, perfect for blackouts or water shortages. However, during a crisis, the government prioritizes canned vegetables for relief efforts, which can lead to shortages in stores. Smart preppers stock up early, mixing national brands, store brands, and imports to avoid supply issues. For extra security, consider dehydrating and vacuum sealing your own vegetables. Home-dried produce lasts long, offers better nutrition control, and is less likely to be requisitioned. Stock a variety: corn for energy, peas for protein, carrots for vitamin A, and green beans for fiber. This ensures you maintain balanced nutrition and stay strong through a crisis. Beyond health, canned vegetables improve morale. Their bright colors, sweet flavors, and familiar textures break the monotony of survival staples like rice and beans, keeping spirits high. The takeaway? Canned vegetables are essential for more than just surviving. They help you stay strong and ready for anything. Stock up now to avoid shortages later and ensure you're prepared when it matters most. 7. Canned ready meals, chili, pasta, and Chef Boyardee-style entrees. For emergency preparedness, canned ready meals like chili, pasta, and Chef Boyardee-style dishes are essential. These calorie-dense meals offer convenience and a vital balance of proteins, fats, and carbs. No electricity? No water? No problem. Just open the can for a complete ready-to-eat meal. In a disaster, when power fails, water runs out, and cooking equipment is useless, these meals are lifesavers. Options like ravioli, beef stew, and chili not only fill you up, but keep you energized and alert. Used for decades in military and humanitarian efforts, they're built to last through extreme conditions, whether stored for years or delivered into crisis zones. The government recognizes their value. Major brands like Hormel and Conagraire contracted to shift production for emergency relief within 72 hours of a declared crisis. That means the cans on shelves today could disappear tomorrow, redirected into emergency supply chains. For preppers, this is a critical reminder. In a disaster, stores empty fast, not just from panicked shoppers, but also government efforts. By stocking up now, you'll stay ahead. These meals last years when stored properly and can provide a much-needed morale boost. A warm bowl of chili on a cold night or comforting pasta during chaos doesn't just nourish, it restores morale. Smart preppers stock variety: protein-packed chili, vegetarian pasta, and hearty stews. Look beyond big brands too. Regional or off-label cans are less likely to be seized. Smaller cans work for single meals, while larger ones stretch resources for families. Finally, practice discretion. Keep a visible stash of common brands and store the bulk of your supply in hidden spots. If localized confiscations occur, you'll still have reserves. Ready meals aren't just convenient, they're essential tools to stay strong, prepared, and focused in any crisis. 6. Canned meat. Canned meats like Spam, Treat, and other luncheon loaves might just seem like budget-friendly grocery staples, but when a national crisis hits, these unassuming cans become nothing short of a lifesaver. And guess what? The government knows it too. These protein-packed foods are fully cooked, require no refrigeration, and can stay on your shelf for more than 5 years under proper storage. That makes them one of the most reliable survival staples you can get your hands on. Why are they so important? Each 12-ounce can of Spam delivers nearly 1,000 calories, a life-saving energy source when your access to fresh food is gone. Think about it. During a disaster, fresh meat is the first thing to vanish. With refrigerators down and supply chains shattered, grocery store meat counters are wiped out within hours. But canned meat? These tiny nutritional powerhouses keep hunger at bay when your other options fail. And here's where it gets really serious. The federal government has sweeping powers under the Defense Production Act to take control of food production whenever national security is at risk. Canned meat fits the bill perfectly. FEMA and Homeland Security know these types of products are lifesavers in an emergency. They're easy to transport, ready to eat, and loaded with essential calories and nutrients. That's why they're among the top foods stocked in FEMA warehouses and redirected in disaster areas. During the COVID-19 pandemic, the government even took special measures to keep meatpacking plants running while the rest of the world shut down. This wasn't just about fresh meat. It was about controlling a critical part of the food supply to ensure that essential items like canned meats remained available for disaster logistics. When catastrophe strikes, canned meat often becomes one of the first categories to disappear from both store shelves and wholesale warehouses. Now here's the reality many don't want to think about. If things get bad enough, with martial law enacted or widespread distribution failures, private food stocks might not be completely exempt from government seizure. That's why you need to prepare now, smartly and quietly. Stockpile canned meats gradually to avoid drawing attention and diversify your brands. Sure, grab some Spam, but also check out lesser-known luncheon meats and international options. These could fly under the radar if federal procurement lists get activated. Store them in a cool, dark space and use the first-in, first-out method to keep your inventory fresh. Canned meat isn't just an emergency food. It's your backup fuel, your sustenance when everything else fails. Build your supply now because when the crisis begins and the government steps in, this will be one of the first foods to vanish. Don't get left behind. 5. Canned beans. Canned beans might seem basic, but when a crisis hits, these humble pantry items could very well save your life. Loaded with plant-based protein, fiber, and essential minerals, they're one of the most powerful and affordable survival foods you can stockpile. What people often overlook about canned beans is their unmatched balance of nutrition and long shelf life, making them essential when supply chains crumble, fresh food is gone, and every calorie counts. Think about this. A single can of beans, whether it's black beans, pinto beans, garbanzo beans, ornavy beans, offers up to 9 grams of protein per serving, complex carbohydrates to keep you energized, and key minerals like magnesium and potassium. That's not filler food, that's survival fuel. And when disaster strikes, their value becomes undeniable. Not only can you eat them straight from the can, but they're unbelievably versatile. Whip up soups, stews, casseroles, or even some quick makeshift burritos, all without fancy equipment or extensive prep. But here's what many don't realize. Canned beans don't just belong in your personal stockpile. They're already a critical part of the government's emergency plans. Federal programs like TFAP and CSFP stockpile massive reserves of these superfoods to stabilize food security during disasters. And when things really get bad, the government doesn't stop with its own reserves. Under the Defense Production Act, they have the power to seize private warehouse stocks, redirect retail inventories, and if the situation demands it, even access supplies in supermarkets that civilians rely on. Once a crisis declaration is made, beans might vanish from store shelves overnight. For preppers, the message is clear: stock up now and do it smartly. Keep a visible layer of common brands like Goya or Bush's in your pantry, while tucking away larger institutional-sized cans or lesser-known off-brands in hidden locations. Spread out your stash so no single area holds all your supplies. After all, canned beans aren't just nutritious. Their unassuming nature makes them a low-key survival MVP. When a long-term emergency hits and shelves are bare, your carefully planned bean reserve could mean the difference between barely getting by and truly thriving. Prepare while you still can, because trust me, these power-packed cans will be among the first to go. 4. Canned soups and stews. When crisis strikes, canned soups and stews often become the unsung heroes of survival food. While other canned goods might need additional prep or add-ins, soups and stews are your all-in-one solution, offering protein, carbs, fats, and hydration in one can. Whether it's beef stew, clam chowder, or classic chicken noodle, they eliminate the need for extra ingredients, clean water, or reliable cooking setups. No power? No problem. These meals can be eaten cold straight from the can, making them a lifesaver when everything else fails. But here's the kicker. Their convenience isn't lost on the government. Soup and stew cans are already baked into emergency plans by FEMA, the Red Cross, and even the military. Why? They're versatile, nutritious, and ridiculously easy to distribute en masse. During the 2024 Gulf Coast freeze, for example, trainloads of canned beef stew were diverted to disaster relief efforts, leaving grocery shelves bone dry for weeks. This wasn't a coincidence. It was a deliberate move to prioritize federal emergency operations over consumer access. One key advantage these cans hold over most other survival foods is their liquid content. Think of a hurricane or flood where clean water supplies are contaminated. Soups and stews keep you hydrated while reducing your reliance on potentially dangerous water sources. Even the high sodium levels in these products can help with short-term fluid retention to stave off dehydration. But in extended crises, this is something to monitor. Another smart move for preppers? Diversify your stash. Big brands like Campbell's and Progresso are prime targets for federal requisition, meaning they could disappear instantly when disaster strikes. Stock up on regional brands, store label options, or international varieties that don't sit on government procurement lists. These are often just as nutritious but are more likely to fly under the radar. Shelf life, rock solid. These cans last years when stored properly and remain safe to eat even after their expiration dates as long as they're undamaged. Mix up your collection with meaty stews, vegetarian soups, and protein-packed chowders to avoid food fatigue. Trust me, in a prolonged emergency, variety can keep morale alive when every day feels like survival mode. Canned soups and stews are more than just a quick meal in tough times. They're a survival staple that no serious prepper should ignore. When supply chains falter and the government sweeps the shelves clean, having your own private stockpile could be the one thing that keeps you fed, hydrated, and ready to endure. 3. Canned fruit and light syrup. Canned fruit and light syrup might seem like a treat rather than a necessity, but in a real disaster, it's so much more than just a sweet bite. When crises strike, and fresh produce disappears for weeks or even months, these cans of fruit turn into a lifeline packed with hydration, fast energy, and essential nutrients like vitamin C. That last one is a big deal. Without enough vitamin C, scurvy can creep in faster than you think. Yes, scurvy. The same disease that sailors feared centuries ago becomes a real threat in modern times when fresh produce is gone. Now think about this. Canned fruit doesn't just fuel your body, it does wonders for your morale. During chaotic situations, the simple sweetness and familiar taste of peaches, pears, or mandarins can provide a mental boost that's just as important as physical nourishment. It's no surprise that FEMA recommends adding canned fruit to every family's emergency kit. When disaster strikes, these sweet treats aren't just luxury foods, they're strategic survival tools. But here's the kicker. Canned fruit is a favorite for disaster relief teams because it serves a dual purpose. Not only does it provide solid nutrition, but with its syrupy liquid, it adds hydration, an absolute must when clean water becomes scarce. After major disasters like Hurricanes Ian or Harold, canned fruits were some of the most sought-after items at distribution centers. Relief agencies and government programs targeted these items for vulnerable populations like hospital patients or seniors on soft food diets. The government also knows that canned fruit in metal containers holds up well during rapid distribution. Forklifts, trucks, bungled storage conditions, these cans can take a beating while still delivering the goods. That makes them a top priority for organizations like FEMA or the Red Cross. If there's an emergency, expect these cans to vanish quickly from grocery shelves, either through government requisitions or panicked public buying. Here's where smart prepping comes into play. Stock up on a variety of canned fruits, including everyday favorites like peaches and pears, but also add mixes or tropical options like pineapples. Don't just rely on big-name brands either. Include off-brands and store-label options that typically fly under the radar during federal grabs. You can also go a step further by investing in freeze-dried fruits or home-canned alternatives. These options last even longer and, more importantly, tend to be overlooked during government seizures. When a serious crisis hits, those cans of fruit might do more than just keep you alive. They'll give you strength, keep you hydrated, and even remind you of better days when hope feels hard to come by. That's the real magic of a little can packed with sweetness and survival. 1. Canned infant formula. When you think about emergency supplies, canned infant formula might not be the first thing that comes to mind. But in a real crisis, it's one of the most vital resources you can have. For families with babies, it's not just food, it's survival. Infants can't just eat scraps or rationed meals like adults. They need precise nutrition to grow and thrive. And even a short disruption in their diet can lead to long-term health consequences. That's why canned ready-to-feed (RTF) infant formula is absolutely critical during a disaster. RTF formula has one major advantage that makes it a favorite in government and relief strategies. It doesn't require clean water. No mixing, no measuring, no risk of contamination. Just open the can and feed. If water supplies are compromised after a hurricane, flood, or chemical spill, this convenience could be the difference between life and death for vulnerable infants. But here's the catch. Its bulk and weight means stocks run out fast, especially in large-scale disasters. The federal government knows how crucial infant formula is. That's why FEMA now keeps dedicated reserves of canned formula following the chaos of the 2022 to 2023 shortage. But during emergencies, demand skyrockets. Stores are wiped clean by panicked parents, and distribution centers see inventories seized for public emergency supply lines. Under the Defense Production Act, Authorities have the power to redirect formula supplies from retailers or distributors to meet broader needs, leaving families scrambling. The best move? Prepare early. Parents should stock at least 3 to 6 weeks worth of formula and rotate it regularly to ensure freshness. Keep your storage cool, dry, and away from damage. Have backup recipes using canned evaporated milk approved by physicians, but only as a last resort. Don't forget bottles, sterilization tools, and manual sanitizers. Caring for infants during a crisis isn't just a challenge. It's an essential responsibility. Canned formula can be the lifeline every family needs. Don't wait until it's too late to secure what could save your baby's life.